You open your banking app. $37.18. Rent is due in a week. There's gas to pay, groceries, that subscription you forgot to cancel. And somewhere on a screen you can't see, a billionaire just made more than that while they were asleep. You slam the app shut. You tell yourself the same story you've been repeating quietly for years. They got lucky. They were born into it. I'm just not that smart. This game is rigged. And you're right. The game is rigged, just not in the way you think. Because there is an actual equation to wealth, a pattern, a set of rules. Not magic, not manifesting, not a secret society. An equation almost no one ever explained to you. So in this video, we're going to tear apart the broken formula you were handed and replace it with the one that people use to go from nothing to never worrying about money again. Let's rewind. Think about the first memories you have of money. Maybe it's your parents at the kitchen table, talking in whispers that weren't really whispers. Bills spread out like a losing hand of cards. Voices getting tighter. Turn off the lights, we can't afford this. No, we're not buying that. Who do you think we are? Maybe it's standing in a store, holding something you really wanted, hearing the phrase that gets programmed into millions of brains. Money doesn't grow on trees. We're not made of money. People like us don't have that. Now think about school. 12 years of math. You memorized formulas you've already forgotten. You learned what a mitochondria is, you drew the water cycle, you solved for X. But how many hours did anyone spend teaching you how taxes work, how a business works, how to turn a skill into income, how to build assets that pay you even when you're not there? Probably zero. So your brain did what every brain does. It filled the silence with stories. Where did those stories come from? Movies, series, social media. Who are the rich people in most stories? The villain CEO, the corrupt politician, the drug lord, the guy in the suit who throws people out of their homes. And who are the good people? The poor but noble family, the broke artist, the underpaid teacher with a heart of gold. If you repeat that pattern enough times, your subconscious learns a very simple rule. Rich equals bad, poor equals good. Having money means you probably did something wrong. People like us don't become rich, and if we do, we'll probably become monsters. Now imagine trying to build wealth with that software running in the background. Of course you self-sabotage. Of course you think it's not for you. Of course you feel guilty even wanting it. But here's the twist. When you look at the actual data on people with serious money, multimillionaires, billionaires, the story is a lot less Hollywood. The majority didn't start rich. They weren't all born in mansions. A huge number of them started in very normal families, small towns, immigrant parents, working-class neighborhoods. They're not all geniuses. They're not all evil. They're not all lucky. They just weren't playing the same game you were taught to play. Because the equation you were given for money is this. Go to school, get a job, trade your time for a salary, repeat for 40 years, retire, hopefully, before your body gives up. That's it. That's the formula. Money equals job. Job equals salary. Salary equals security. Except it doesn't. That equation is broken. And as long as you live inside it, you will trade your entire life for just enough money to survive. So let's test this equation. Let's say you make $15 an hour. Nothing fancy, nothing terrible, just average. You work 40 hours a week. That's $600 a week. Multiply that by 50 weeks a year. We'll give you 2 weeks off. You deserve it. And you're at $30,000 a year. Now, let's play the game everybody talks about. One day, I want to have $1 million. How long does that actually take? 1 million divided by 30,000, that's about 33 years. And remember, that's not after taxes. That's not after rent, food, transport, kids, emergencies, debt, anything. That's if you never spend a single dollar. 3 decades, just to see the number. By the time the math finally works, your knees hurt, your back hurts, your energy is lower, your parents are old, Your kids are grown. The years when you had the most time and energy, you traded them away for survival. And that's if everything goes right. No layoffs, no sickness, no crisis. Look at it visually. Imagine a bar that represents your life. From 0 to, let's be optimistic, 85. Now imagine another bar underneath, your money, slowly climbing if you follow the classic path. In the first decades, your life bar is full. Energy, health, curiosity, potential, but the money bar is basically flat.
Later, as you reach your 50s and 60s, the money bar finally starts to look decent, right as your life bar is shrinking. If the system was built for you to win, that graph would look the opposite. Here's the hardest pill to swallow. You can work incredibly hard in that system. You can be honest, you can be loyal, you can be the good employee, and still never get out. Because the market doesn't pay you for effort, it pays you for value, and for how hard you are to replace. Let's put 3 people side by side. Person 1, a cleaner. They're on their feet 8 hours a day, bending, lifting, scrubbing. It's physically brutal. Person 2, an accountant. They sit at a desk, work with numbers, understand the tax code. Person 3, a star athlete or a top-tier entertainer. They might train hard, but when we look at actual hours, they're not doing 8-hour shifts every day at maximum intensity. And yet, who earns the least? The cleaner. Who earns more? The accountant. Who earns a ridiculous amount? The star. Is it because one tries harder than the others? No, it's because there are millions of people who could step into the cleaner's role tomorrow. Far fewer can step into the accountant's role. Almost no one on the planet can do what the star does at that level, in that context, in that moment. Effort does not equal income. Value, as the market perceives it, plus scarcity equals income. That doesn't mean cleaners don't matter or don't deserve more. It just means the rules of this game don't care how tired you are, they care how replaceable you are. So if time and effort don't make you rich, what does? Here's the first piece of the real equation. Money follows solutions to painful problems, not random problems, not would-be nice problems, painful ones. The more painful the problem, the more people who have it, and the better you solve it, the more money flows toward you. Look at Amazon. On paper, it's a website where you can buy stuff. But that's not why it became a monster. Before Amazon, buying certain things meant driving across town, getting stuck in traffic, finding parking, dealing with whatever limited selection that store happened to have, waiting in line, carrying everything back home. Annoying, time-consuming, expensive. Amazon looked at that and said, what if we make this disappear? What if you can find almost anything, compare prices instantly, tap a button, and it just shows up at your door in a day or two? They didn't start by asking, how do we make lots of money? They asked, what hurts for millions of people every day, and how do we make that pain vanish? The money followed. Think about the software you use at work. Maybe your company uses a tool that handles invoices, or scheduling, or customer support. Before that tool existed, people were drowning in spreadsheets, forgetting appointments, losing track of payments. Someone somewhere noticed that pain. They said, let's build something that makes this 10 times easier. They solved a recurring business migraine. The money followed. Think about a simple local service. In your city, there are people working crazy hours who never have time to do laundry, or walk their dogs, or cook. To them, these are small but constant problems. Someone shows up and says, text me your address, I'll pick up your laundry and bring it back tomorrow, folded. Or, I'll prep healthy meals for your week and drop them off every Sunday. Those aren't billion-dollar ideas, but they solve real, constant annoyances, and people happily pay to make those annoyances disappear. This is the lens shift. Every complaint you hear in your daily life isn't just noise. It's a little signal that says, opportunity lives here. I hate how long this takes. This process is so confusing. I wish someone would just
Fill in the blank. Most people hear that and nod. Wealth builders hear that and lean in. Now here's the second piece of the equation. It's not enough to solve a problem once. Your solution has to be able to scale without you. Go back to our cleaner. Imagine they start their own cleaning business. Now, instead of cleaning one house an hour, they clean 4 houses a day and they charge more. That sounds like progress, but be careful. If the business only works when they are the one cleaning, they haven't escaped the trap. They've just built a more stressful job with their name on it. Income still stops when they stop. That's a job disguised as a business. Now imagine something different. A chef works in a restaurant. Long hours, low margins, always on their feet. They could open their own restaurant. Maybe they do, and now they work even more. Or they can take the recipes they've perfected, record a beautiful video course, and sell it online to thousands of people. They can create a line of sauces or products and get them into supermarkets. They can build a brand, not just a building. Same skill, different equation. Or take a yoga instructor. Teaching one-on-one, hour by hour, is a pure time for money trade. If they get sick, income stops. But if they record a 30-day beginner program, put it on a platform, and 1,000 people join, their time doesn't increase 1,000-fold, but their impact and income can. The rule is simple. If your income stops the moment you stop showing up, you don't own a business. You own a job with extra stress. If your solution can be delivered again and again without you personally doing it each time, through software, media, other people, systems, now you're moving into the territory where wealth lives. And that's the third piece. Systems and automation are your real employees. Imagine a simple flow. A stranger sees something you made, a post, a video, a recommendation. They click a link. They land on a page that explains the problem you solve. They decide to buy. They pay. They receive what they paid for, without you having to manually intervene every time. They get value. Maybe they get follow-up emails helping them use it better. Some of them buy again or tell a friend. That's a system. At first, you do everything yourself. You make the product, you build the page, you answer the emails, you deliver the service. Then, slowly, you start removing yourself. You hire an editor. You bring in a virtual assistant to handle support. You partner with a fulfillment center or a software platform to deliver the product. Piece by piece, you swap your time for systems. Wealth isn't how much you make. Wealth is how much keeps coming in when you stop working. So if that's the real equation, solve painful problems at scale using systems, how do you get there from nothing? Let's walk through it like a story. Picture someone who might be you. They're working in a cafe, or driving for a delivery app, or behind a checkout. They come home tired. Their bank account is thin. But there's one thing they still have control over: what they do with their time outside of work. Most people in that position collapse on the couch and scroll. 3 hours gone. Nothing changes. Our character does something different. They open a laptop. They start learning a skill the market actually values. Not in a vague, motivational way, in a boring, practical way. Sales, copywriting, design, programming, video editing, running ads, project management, whatever intersects with their curiosity and the world's needs. At first, it sucks. They're slow, they're confused, they feel stupid, but they keep going. They finish a course, they build a small project, they help a friend, they get feedback, they improve. This is stage 1 of building wealth from nothing. You upgrade your value. Before you ever build a business, before you ever invest $1, you become someone whose time the market wants more. Not because you magically raised your vibration, because you became more useful. Your first goal is not make millions. Your first goal is become so valuable that the market can't easily ignore you. Stage 2. You turn that new value into higher value cash flow. Our character now has options. Maybe they get a better paying job because they added real skills to their CV and can actually demonstrate them. Maybe they start freelancing on the side, offering that new skill to small businesses. Maybe both. Their income goes up. Here comes the trap. When money finally starts to flow, the temptation screams at you. New car, better apartment, nicer clothes, nicer phone, trips to celebrate. Everyone else will clap for you if you pick that path, because it looks successful. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That is the first fork in the road. If you use every increase in income to upgrade your lifestyle, you stay in the same cage. A prettier cage, sure, but still a cage. If, instead, you hold your lifestyle almost flat for a while, you create something new. Capital. Money you don't need to survive. Money you can deploy. Most people never get to this point. The ones who do, and use it well, change their lives completely. Stage 3. You use your skill plus your capital to solve a real problem. Our character is now more valuable to the market and has a small pile of savings. They start paying attention differently. At work, they listen to complaints. This process takes forever. Why are we still doing this manually? Our customers keep asking for X. In their own life, they notice frictions. Why is this so complicated? Why is there no simple way to do this? They overlay those complaints with their skill set. If they've learned design and copy, maybe they can help local businesses fix terrible websites that cost them customers. If they've learned coding, maybe they can build a tiny tool that automates something annoying. If they've learned video, maybe they can help experts package their knowledge into courses. If they've learned sales, maybe they can become the person that brings in clients for people who hate selling. They don't try to build the next Amazon. They look for a narrow but painful problem for a specific group of people that they can genuinely help. They use their capital to create the first version. Maybe it's paying for software. Maybe it's paying a designer to help. Maybe it's buying initial inventory. Maybe it's paying for a small ad test. They get their first customers. They deliver. They listen. They refine. Slowly, the thing they built starts making money. Not millions, not yet, but the shape is there. Stage 4. They scale, systematize, and plan their exit, whether that exit is selling the business or exiting day-to-day work. As revenue grows, they resist the urge to cling to every task. They start documenting what they do. They write down processes. They make checklists. Then they give those checklists to other people, an assistant, a contractor, an employee. Bit by bit, they step back from operations and move into direction. The business becomes less about their personal effort and more about the machines and people they've put in place. There are only 2 endings to this story if they keep going. 1, they sell. At some point, someone bigger comes along and says, "We want what you've built, the customers, the systems, the brand." They get a check that, to their past self, looks impossible. Or 2, they keep it. They stop trying to multiply it and instead optimize it. They pull money from it regularly and quietly, like a well. They still own it, but they don't live there. Either way, they've moved from nothing to, "I will never panic over rent again." Not because of a hack, because of a focused decade of playing a different game. Now, there's one more piece almost no one tells you about. It's not just how you build wealth, it's what you do and don't do once you have it. We live in a culture that worships visibility. Flex the watch, flex the car, flex the house, flex the vacation. Show everyone. Make sure they know you made it. But there's a dark side to being visibly rich. Look at the headlines. Athletes robbed at home after posting where they were. Influencers followed back from a club. Lottery winners broke, depressed, or worse a few years later. When everyone knows you have money, you become a magnet. For criminals, yes, but also for lawsuits, for fake friends, for relatives who don't see you anymore, they see a walking ATM. For people who project their jealousy and resentment onto you. That's why a lot of truly wealthy people play a very different game. Get rich, tell almost no one. It's called stealth wealth. It looks like this. You meet someone in a $10 t-shirt. They drive a normal Toyota. They eat a $5 sandwich. You would never guess they're worth $8 million. Next to them, there's someone in head-to-toe luxury, financing a car they can't afford, drowning in credit card debt. One is flexing, the other is free. When you keep your wealth quiet, you gain three powerful things: privacy, security, peace. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to constantly feed the image. You're not trapped by the expectations of other people. It also changes how people treat you. Think about something as simple as getting work done on your house. If a contractor pulls up and sees a supercar in your driveway, a designer bag, a huge obvious TV through the window, what story do they tell themselves? This person has money, they can pay more. The quote inflates. If instead they see a small, normal car and nothing that screams rich, the quote is just a quote. Now multiply that dynamic across your entire life. Every time you loudly display your wealth, you give the world information it can use against you. You don't owe the world that information. This doesn't mean living in fear. It means being intentional. It also means changing what you think spending like a rich person means. If you've played this whole game right and money starts to become abundant, it's tempting to swing to the other extreme. I've worked so hard, now I'm going to buy everything I ever wanted. But remember what you actually wanted in the first place. It wasn't numbers on a screen. It wasn't strangers' admiration. It was health, time, security, experiences with people you care about, freedom to do work you actually enjoy. So when you think about how to spend, imagine 4 pillars. Pillar 1, health and longevity. Being able to afford good food, a comfortable bed, preventive medical checks, therapy if you need it, a gym membership or equipment you'll actually use. Pillar 2, comfort and time. Maybe it's paying extra for the direct flight so you don't arrive destroyed. Maybe it's living closer to work so you get 2 hours of your day back. Maybe it's hiring someone to help clean so you can spend that time with your kids or building your next project.
Pillar 3, loved ones. Taking your parents on a trip they never could have afforded. Helping a sibling through a rough patch. Setting up a cushion for your kids so mistakes don't turn into disasters. Pillar 4, passions and hobbies. The things that make your life rich from the inside. Music, sports, art, learning, building projects that might never make money but make you feel alive. Compare that to Pillar 0, status. The car that loses half its value the moment you buy it. The bag that nobody remembers after a week. The party that impresses people you don't even like. One set of choices quietly compounds the freedom you worked so hard to build. The other drags you back into a different kind of prison. So let's put all of this together. You were born into a culture that taught you money is scarce, dirty, or reserved for other people. You were handed a broken equation. Trade your time for a salary until you're too tired to enjoy the payoff. You were surrounded by stories where rich equals evil and poor equals pure. No one explained that the game actually works like this. Find painful problems. Solve them better than most. Solve them for more people than you could ever meet in person. Build systems so the solving continues without you. Protect what you build. And don't let status steal the freedom you created. Underneath every desire to be rich is something more honest. You don't really want paper. You don't really want numbers on a screen. You want to wake up without panic. You want to say yes or no to things because you choose to, not because you're forced. You want the people you love to be safe. You want time, real, uninterrupted time, to live a life that feels like yours. Money is just the tool that buys you that time, that safety, that control. So here's the question you have to answer. Do you want to keep playing the visible game, the rigged one, where you trade hours for a salary, chase promotions, and flex every little win to prove you're not falling behind? Or are you willing to switch to the invisible game, the wealth game, where you hunt problems, build skills, create systems, stay quiet, and let the results speak louder than any flex ever could? You don't have to have the whole plan today. Just do this. In the next 24 hours, pay attention.
Notice every time you or someone around you complains about something. It always takes forever to do this. This thing never works properly. Why is there no simple way to write them down? That's your first map of where money hides in your world. Then, ask yourself, which of these problems could I learn to solve? What skills would I need? What small, tiny, first version could I build? Even if it's just helping one person, that makes this pain disappear. That's how it starts. Not with a lottery ticket, not with a miracle. With a decision to stop being just a player in a game you don't understand, and start learning the rules the winners are actually using. You weren't actually chasing money all this time. You were chasing time, control, and peace. You just didn't have the language for it. Now you do. What you do next is up to you.